For a second I thought I was going to say the end, and I'm like, oh shit, what about the zero bomb? But yeah, garden, thought so. Luna, I knew you'd be here.
You knew?
Oh, right. We haven't talked here in this one, huh?
Isn't this nice? This is the only place in this whole facility with anything green. I kind of feel silly saying it, but it makes me think of the great outdoors. I think it's the perfect place for a serious conversation. Being surrounded by nature makes me feel happy. I'm not sure what you meant just now, but... Are you talking about something that happened in another history?
Indeed. What?
I know what you can do. Someone told me about it once.
Oh, really? Was it me?
They said that you have the ability to transport your consciousness through time.
Indeed. But I'm not a robot. Who told you that? Luna looked down at the music box around her neck, carefully and delicately as she twisted the dial on the bottom. Let me guess, I told her, because I'm Zero or whatever, right?
Sigma, aren't you here to ask me something?
The location of the Zero Bomb?
Why I killed them, perhaps?
You did kill them? Well, actually, I already know you didn't do it.
Oh? Why do you think I didn't do it? I'd like to know your reasoning.
The three of those are laws of robotics. I think you're a good robot. Alright. I nodded and took a moment to compose my thoughts. Might as well start with the old woman. There's no point beating around the bush, I suppose. Dio killed her.
Why do you think so?
Her left arm had blood splatter all the way up to the elbow, except for a stripe on the wrist that was perfectly clean. What could have caused that? My guess is a bracelet. It got covered with blood and kept her wrist clean. Obviously none of our bracelets had blood splatter on them, but Dio's bracelet reacted to the luminol. That meant Dio's bracelet had to have come from the old woman.
Is that your proof? That's why you think Dio killed her?
I know Dio killed her. He said so himself. No, that's only enough to suspect him. After all, he could have just taken the bracelet after someone else killed her.
Then why are you so sure?
Because he confessed.
What?
After his bracelet reacted to the luminol, I confronted him.
Alright, fine. You caught me, I did it. I killed the old bitch and took her bracelet.
Wait. When did that happen?
In a different timeline.
Isn't that against the rules?
What against the rules? What rules? I hope you're not gonna try and bring up Nock's 10 Commandments. Wait, what rules are we talking about? The rules of the Nonary game, or the rules of jumping through time, or... Oh, are you saying it's against the rules to say he confessed in another timeline? Well, it's true. Does it really matter if it's against the rules or fair? The truth is the truth. Let's say that incident P happens, and after that the timeline splits into timeline A and timeline B. I don't think it's unfair to base a theory in timeline A on information I found in timeline B. After all, A and B both came from the same place, P. If you trace the history of both timelines, you'd end up back at incident P. Now, if I could change what happened with incident P by visiting timeline A or B, then yes, it'd be a different story, and a difficult story. I don't know that it'd be unfair per se, but I'd certainly be breaking some pretty big rules. Even though I think the game has already broken those rules. I think. I don't have confirmation, but I think they might have. Like, you know, the principle of causality. I'm sure that Dio killed the old woman. By extension, that means you couldn't have killed her. I'm assuming Dio wasn't originally intended to be part of the notary game. Somehow he got in and took the old woman's place. That's how he ended up as Quark's partner. Not quite. You see, he was always intended to be part of the game. She was never intended to be part of the game. It was just part of the plan that she wear the bracelet and have it taken by Dio. Because, you know, they've already seen this. Because I've already seen it. Because I'm totally zero, aren't I? This is just an educated guess, but I have a feeling his plan was to replace one of us. I doubt it mattered which one. I have no idea why he would want to do something like that, and I don't know how he did it either. But the fact remains that he did. So he snuck in, probably snuck into one of the AB rooms somehow, because maybe they let him sneak in, killed the old woman, took the bracelet, then left the old woman somewhere that Quark couldn't see, and then brought her back in, I guess. He hid in the warehouse on floor A and waited for someone to come out of one of the AB rooms. Suppose that's possible. Which would mean Akane is the first one to finish one of the puzzles, I guess. With Quark asleep, I suppose? That someone turned out to be the old woman. She left Quark asleep in the AB room and came out on her own. Somehow he managed to get close enough to stab her. And she let him, as far as I'm pretty sure I know. It's all part of the plan. He did it near the wall with the graffiti on it. I'm guessing he stabbed her from behind so that he wouldn't get any blood on himself. As soon as she was dead, he wrapped the knife up in the handkerchief. No, wait, actually... he probably took the bracelet first. Then he would have needed to wipe the blood off, so he used the handkerchief for that too. Anyway, the point is, he got the bracelet and put it on. Then he wrapped the knife up and hid it between the rightmost AB room and its neighbor. He probably didn't expect that they'd move, or he would have put it somewhere else. After that, he headed back into the AB room that the old woman had left. Quark would have still been fast asleep, so as far as he knew, Dio was there the whole time. This does raise a few other questions, but I'll save those for later. For now, let's move on to the other murders. Well, actually, one of them probably isn't a murder. Suicide, you mean? Ah, so yeah, Alice's is a suicide. I thought so.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about Alice. Pretty sure she... committed suicide.
All of humanity is going to die.
So yeah, every time we find her dead, she does kill herself. Every single time. I thought so.
Adults, children, everyone. There won't be anyone left. I'd rather die here.
She'd been infected with Radical 6. I think that infection caused her to take her own life. She used Dio's knife, which she'd found in the warehouse after the AB room moved, and exposed it. She took it with her, and then used it to stab herself in the crew quarters. Next are Clover and Tenmyoji. The first question is who put the handcuffs on them. The clue is the message Clover left, 016. Oh shit, was it actually Dio? Is it like a reverse plot twist, and that's why they never said, oh, I think it's Dio and then it's actually Luna, because they never brought it up, because now Sigma's gonna bring it up that it is the truth? If you think about it though, it doesn't make sense. Clover's left hand was in the handcuffs. That means she would have had to write with her right hand, on her right thigh. I feel like it'd be really hard to do that, you know? Why not just use your left thigh? The thing is, I think she did. Oh, really? When she died, her legs slumped together, and the nemesis got transferred to the right thigh. Oh. Neat. Oh, that's a cool way of thinking about it. We just never saw the original because we didn't bother to check the other leg. In other words, she wasn't trying to write 016. She was trying to write Dio. So, plot twist, the killer is the obvious one? Oh gee, I never saw that coming, except I did as soon as I saw those. I'm like, it's Dio. Why don't these guys figure out that that's what the 016 means? It's Dio. But, yeah. Trying to write Dio. With her dying breath, she was trying to tell us the name of her killer. Now, about Kay and Dio. I think there's a pretty good chance Dio killed Kay. Here's how I imagine it happened. Kay probably sprayed Dio's bracelet with the luminol. Maybe he got some of his memories back. We found the bottle in Kay's robe. He wouldn't have seen the reaction immediately, but Dio would have known what was coming. As soon as Kay turned the lights off, it'd be clear that Dio had taken the old woman's bracelet. My guess is he decided to take preemptive action. When we found their bodies, the lights in the rec room were on. Maybe Kay turned to switch the lights off and Dio took that opportunity to attack him. Kay was hurt pretty badly, so he didn't die right away. Kay was hurt pretty badly, so he didn't die right away. Doesn't make sense. Kay was hurt pretty badly, but he didn't die right away. He probably managed to grab the spear and stab Dio. So what we suspected at first? So nothing interesting. It's all what we suspected at first. Dio killed everybody except the chick who killed herself. And Kay who killed him. Then he died. So that accounts for all 6 bodies. None of them your fault.
Sigma, I'm glad you don't think I did it, but...
But I did.
all of your theories are just, well, theories.
But I trust you.
Like Alice committing suicide. How can you be sure?
Because I saw her commit suicide in another timeline. To be fair, I haven't seen her do it in this timeline, but the way she did it is the same.
Say she was infected with Radical 6. She could have been murdered before her symptoms even began to present themselves. As for Clover and Tenmyoji, I could easily have killed them. You don't have any proof that Clover's message was mirrored like you say, or even that it was supposed to refer to Dio. Even if it did, that's not conclusive evidence of his guilt. The same goes for Kay and Dio. I could have killed them both. Why do you trust me so much? I'm a machine. I'm part of this place. How can you trust a machine?
That's why I trust you.
What?
I trust you because you're a robot. Your robotness is just one more reason you can't be the killer. Well, 3 more reasons.
Have you ever heard of the 3 laws of robotics?
I still want to know what the zeroth law is. Oh shit! Zeroth law? Maybe that's where the zeroth bomb is? In Luna? How would that make any sense? I don't know. Rule 1. A robot may not injure a human being or through an action allow a human being to come to harm.
A robot without the 3 laws is just a bunch of metal and plastic. Sigma.
Luna, I have to ask you. Can you tell me, well, everything you know? Your mind is in the central server. You should know everything that's happened here. There was a long pause. Luna stood up and walked deeper into the garden. I followed her in silence. Eventually, we reached the bench. Luna quietly sat down, and just like last time, I lowered myself down beside her.
You were right. I didn't kill them.
Didn't think so. Well, with Clover and Temiojo was a bit on the fence for a bit, but yeah, I mean, I suspected the Dio thing from the beginnings. And I even said, how would Clover know your 016 code?
How should I explain? Well, actually, you got most of it right.
Most? It doesn't matter. Tell me everything.
Well, first, yes, Dio did sneak into the facility.
Alright.
He used the large cargo elevator and came into the warehouse on floor A through the number 9 door.
Alright.
Since the game hadn't started yet, anyone could go through it.
Alright. Doesn't really sound like sneaking. It sounds more like he just walked in.
Yes, I guess you could say that. He did get in pretty easily. But that's because Zero Jr. lured him here.
What do you mean?
Dio wasn't a surprise. Both Zeros knew that he was going to come.
So they brought him here?
In a way.
But why?
Because his presence was an important part of Zero's project.
Dio came here to stop it, but he was part of the plan all along. Oh, poor Dio. What project?
I can't go into that right now. We'd be here forever. Right now, let's just focus on the murders, okay?
Sure.
Anyway, Dio found his way in.
Alright.
They made sure he didn't know that he was actually being let in.
And that's why Akane came out. Because so that he could kill her and go into the game without, realizing, wait a second, why isn't there a 9th person? So, why did he come here?
To make sure Zero's project failed.
That's kind of funny. Oh, that's so stupid.
His first step was to pretend to be one of the players. As for how he did that, you had it pretty much right. The old woman was the first one out, and he killed her under the graffiti. He put a bracelet on after he wiped the blood off it with the handkerchief. Then he wrapped the knife up and hid it between the 5th and 6th AB rooms.
Indeed. 5th and 6th?
Counting from the left in their original placement.
Okay. In other words, the rightmost room would be the 6th room, and the one next to it would be the 5th.
Right. After that, he went back into the 5th AB room where Quark was sleeping.
Alright.
Then he just waited for Quark to wake up.
Okay. What were you doing while that was happening?
Nothing. I couldn't do anything. My body had been turned off. Zero Jr. had powered me down. My body wasn't activated until after Dio went into the 5th room.
Because your mission was to bring the old lady into your room. All part of the plan, right?
I couldn't help her. All I could do was watch while she was murdered.
I thought you weren't turned off. I thought you weren't turned on until, you were turned on, alright. I thought you weren't turned on until Dio went into his room, which means you shouldn't have even seen it at all, but okay. I think Dio was actually surprised when he came out of his room and the old woman wasn't there. Because it was probably part of his plan, to find her out there and be like, what the hell?
Everything in this place is controlled by Zero Jr.
Alright.
I couldn't try and prevent Dio from getting in either.
Okay. Wait, if Zero Jr. controls everything, Then he was the one who moved the sixth room with the crane?
Yes, that's right. Zero Jr. moved the room, not me.
Alright. Then who moved the old woman? That would be you, right?
Me. It took me 10 minutes to get out of my AB room once I was turned back on.
Is that to show how smart of a robot you are?
I ran over to check on her as soon as I did.
At least you were faster than everyone else. If Alice had came out first like she thought she did, then things would have played out quite a bit differently.
Then I carried her back to the room I'd been in.
Why'd you do that?
Because I was ordered to.
Yup. What? Pretty much seen all this coming so far.
Luna, listen to me very carefully.
First time hearing Akane's voice actor.
As you already know, the final stage of the project begins in 2 hours. This will be the culmination of many years of hard work.
Alright. We still don't know what the goal of this plan is. Is it to go back in time to a point when Radical 6 maybe never took over or something? Maybe? I don't know.
We cannot afford failure.
I recognize this voice, but I can't pin it off the top of my head.
Yes. I understand.
Then let's make sure. What is your mission?
Enter the Nonary game as one of the participants and observe the actions of the other players. Ensure that they do what they are supposed to and guide them down the correct paths.
Although there are multiple of those paths, but she was probably instructed in all the details. Kind of similar to what I theorized in the first game, like, so, wait, it was like Santa and Akane, sorry, Aoi and Akane, I should either call them Santa and June or Aoi and Akane. Anyways, Santa and June is actually simpler. Santa and June, they knew everything that was going to happen, I guess. Well, I mean, June would have known, and then told Santa, I guess, a long-winded explanation of what he was supposed to do. And then I guess they must have done that. You see, Seven thing was never cleared up. We don't know if he was part of the whole plan, or if he was just pretending that June was dead or something. Like, we don't know how much of that was part of the... We don't know how much of the plan he was part of. That was never specified. But he was part of it to an extent. Whether or not the amnesia was real, or if that was a fake, we don't know. But he was part of the plan to an extent. I'd like to think the amnesia was real, though, because it would have been a lot more complicated if they actually had to explain their whole plan to him, too. And then, of course, they had to explain their plan to Snake, even though the game said they didn't. Like, they had that stupid excuse. Because he was blind, he wouldn't have realized that I was still alive. What? But, that still doesn't make sense. But I know you ignore that, because that was the last game. This is this one. But, so they told him his instructions, too, even if they said they didn't. So that's what they're doing here, too. And with her, it makes a lot more sense, though, with, like, Seven or Snake or even Santa, because she's a robot. It's a lot easier to give all that information to her. So, with her, it actually makes more sense that she could know all these things. So, yeah, that's a bit of a tangent, but yeah, it makes more sense with her than with them, because they were actual humans, she's a robot, so she knows things. Anyways, going on.
How many players will there be?
9.
Myself and 7 others, ma'am.
8 others.
Will you be participating as well?
Yes. Our plan dictates that I must.
So yeah, Akane... So, it's not just Junpei and Clover that are repeat players. Akane was as well, for a limited time. Oh! Now that I think about it, I remember thinking, it was kind of funny that nobody died early on in the game, like in the first game. I was thinking, well, it'd be kind of lazy if they did that, since they already did it in the first game. No need to show off an example in this game. But they still did have someone die early in the game. This time it was Akane, though. And, what else? Oh, yeah. I remember thinking, I was scared when I was first starting this game, because I knew going in that Clover was in it, and I was like, oh shit, if she's like the only return player, which at first it seems like she is, right? So I was like, oh shit, if she's the only return player, they might kill her off early on as an example, because, I mean, you don't want to kill off any of the new characters, but, they still did kill off someone from the first game as an example, although in a very different way, and not really as the same kind of example. But, yeah, let's keep going.
An individual by the name of Dio will be entering this facility presently. He has been led to believe he is doing so undetected.
Yeah, Dio sucks. Also, something else I realized. What was the point of the first fucking game? The whole game was there to save Akane, and then she just dies off-screen at the beginning of this one? To be fair, like 50 years have passed or something, so she lived a nice life, I guess. But, still, it's like as soon as we get to this one, oh, the first game was meaningless. I mean, not, but, you know, it feels a bit like that.
You've been briefed on him already, correct?
Yes. He will murder the first person to leave one of the AB rooms and take their place.
She says that so coldly. I mean, she is a robot, but still.
If a pair is the first out, he'll probably kill both of them.
And that's why it's gonna be, Akane, and not any of them. Keep them safe, as it were. He wants to keep his Jumpy doll safe. That's so sad, though. Like, you assume after the first game ends that, you know, Junpei's eventually gonna catch up with Akane, and they're gonna have some lovey-dovey time, and then you find out they never even met up again? Like, I'm pretty sure as far as the game's hints have told us, they never met again, ever. So, like, that's so sad. Maybe, though, we're gonna change history, though. Like, maybe that's the whole point of the AB project, and then Junpei and Akane get to live happily ever after. Maybe. Hopefully.
That's all the information I've been given on him, ma'am.
Is there a problem?
With all due respect, ma'am, I would like to state that I don't feel right about this. We know someone is going to be killed, and we're just going to let it happen? I also have doubts about the use of Radical 6.
Oh, this is new.
Are you sure?
Okay, yeah, so it was on purpose. They have to use Radical 6, though. After all, that's how it was when Sigma went through it the first time, and since he was the one who planned all this, he had to recreate it the way he experienced it, because, you know, time travel bullshit. Stable time loop or whatever. Stable time loops, I guess, because of all the multiple timelines.
Infecting all these people with such a horrible disease.
Yeah, funny that it's infecting all of them, since Quark is the one who always gets it right away, and then Alice is usually the one who gets it afterwards. And then the only other time anybody else seems to be infected is, the ending where everybody dies. So, that's kind of interesting.
That is none of your concern. Your only concern is to follow your orders.
But...
Luna, I am giving you an order. I am in command, and you do as I say.
Oh, Akane's putting her foot down.
You are programmed to do as I say. You know this.
yes.
Good. Now, I have one final order.
Another order, ma'am?
Yes. When you leave the AB room, the person Dio has killed will still be there. I would like you to move them.
Where?
To the room you are about to enter. The 6th AB room.
But why? Isn't the question she is probably allowed to ask. But if she does, the real answer would probably be because that's how it happened when Sigma first experienced it. Because, you know. So it really, I mean, it's similar to the way it was with, the first game. Because that's how it was when Akane first experienced it. The only difference is, well, actually there's a couple differences, I guess. We don't know all the differences yet, but I guess the main ones are A, in the first game, it was Akane who was Zero, as opposed to in this game who, well, Akane is actually working for Zero, but Zero was me this time, I'm guessing. And then the other big difference is, in the first game, Akane had a premonition of the future, so she had to change things to make it, like, she had to make things so they're the same as in the premonition. But in this game, I'm living out the premonition, as it were. And then after I live through this, I likely develop, like, a time machine or something and go back in time, and then I have to recreate it so it's the way I experienced it. So it's a bit different than with Akane, because she had a premonition. I'm probably going to have actual time travel.
But why?
Not your concern.
Thought so.
As a participant in the game, you must have as little knowledge of it as possible. That is why I have made sure you are unable to access any classified data. There are things you must not know. In order for this project to succeed, we need you to be as close to a clean slate as possible. There are some things you already know, which ideally you would not. Unfortunately, this is unavoidable, so you must refrain from divulging anything you know about the project to the other participants. You must never tell anyone what you know about Dio, or the body, or that you carried it to the 6th AB room. You will have to pretend you know nothing more than the rest of the participants.
Is that an order?
Yes. Do I make myself clear?
Yes. After that, I went into the AB room as I'd been told to. As soon as I stepped inside, my body deactivated. But since my brain is in the main computer, I was still awake. So I still saw everything. While I waited, I used the security cameras to see what was going on in the rest of the facility.
And you saw the old woman being murdered. Oh, I see. So she was turned off, but she could still see things. Right, that makes sense, because Golem was doing that too, yeah.
Yes. It was hard. What I was seeing made no sense. Several of my higher level processes nearly failed. To think that she would be the first person to come out. I think she knew that Dio was going to kill her. When she'd said she had one final order for me, I didn't understand what she meant. Like a fool, I told her I didn't approve, when I had no idea what she was prepared to do. When she died, whatever I have that passes for a heart felt like it snapped in two.
Now, more importantly, what about the Zero Bomb? I think I understand. Everything you did because you'd been ordered to.
Yes.
And it was the old woman who gave you those orders. Then is she Zero Senior?
No.
What? But if she gave you the orders, she was working for someone else.
She did, but she wasn't the only person I took orders from.
There was somebody else?
Yes.
And that person is Zero Senior?
Yes. They worked together to develop the project she mentioned. So I suppose technically my orders came from both of them. And they were both controlling Zero Junior, too. I told you before that Zero Junior moved the 6th AB room. Although that's strictly true, he didn't do it of his own free will.
Oh, really?
They ordered him to do it. He was following orders just like me.
But why?
I don't know. I really don't. Maybe they did it so that people wouldn't suspect me.
If they didn't want people to suspect you, then why have you moved the body in the first place? Because it's all part of the plan. Eventually we'd figured out that the rooms had been moved, and then she was in your room.
Then maybe they wanted the opposite.
You mean...
Maybe they wanted you to suspect me.
That doesn't make sense either. If they wanted people to suspect you, why move the room?
You're right. Then maybe they only wanted certain people to be suspicious of me.
You mean like Alice?
Yes. Perhaps they wanted Alice to find the handkerchief and the knife. That would explain why they moved the room.
So they somehow knew Dio would hide the knife there. Yeah, because I already know he did. This is all coming to what I think it is, right? I'm Zero?
Yes. I think so.
But how could they know that?
Well, whatever the reasons were, Alice did notice that the room was moved. Which meant that Clover also figured it out.
Indeed.
And just like you said, Alice used the knife to take her life.
Indeed.
Clover didn't realize that, though. Or perhaps she didn't want to.
Double indeed.
In any event, she decided that I must have killed Alice to keep her quiet. So she confronted me. It was right after the second round of the AB game.
Okay.
Using Phi's timetable, that would be 0 hours, 0 minutes.
So you know about Phi's timetable, too. Wait. You were listening to us in the security office?
Yes. That wasn't all I was listening to, though. I know everything that happened in the facility after my body collapsed.
Alright. You were watching through the security cameras.
Yes, I was. I could see and hear everything. Anyway, we're at 0 hours, 0 minutes.
Okay.
I was in the hallway on floor A when Clover found me and took me to room 2 in the crew quarters. We entered at about 0 hours, 1 minute.
Okay.
She was very forceful.
I know you killed Alice. Tell me the truth and I'll let you live. Now fess up! I'm only gonna give you one chance. If you lie or try to play dumb or something, I'll kill you right in front of her!
I told her the truth, of course. I explained that I hadn't killed Alice. That she'd been infected with Radical 6, and it had caused her to kill herself.
I see.
Clover was never going to believe that, though. We argued about it for nearly 9 minutes. It wasn't just Alice she asked me about. She asked me about the murder of the old woman, and about the AB room being moved. She wasn't very nice about it, but I couldn't answer any of her questions.
Because of your orders.
Yes. Then, at about 0 hours, 10 minutes, she must have run out of patience. She stuck her hand in her pocket and started moving toward me. She backed me up against the wall and pulled her hand out of her pocket. She was holding the injection gun. I tried to take it away from her.
This is an interesting perspective.
I even screamed for help. She refused to let go, of course. While we were fighting over it,
Well, hold on a minute. The trigger got pulled in the fight, I get that part. What I don't understand is why it did anything to you at all.
You mean because I'm a golem?
Yeah.
One of my orders was always to act like I was one of the players. A human. Any human injected with that amount of tubocurarine would die.
So you shut yourself off? That's why you, died? To keep up the facade that you were human?
No. I collapsed because Zero Jr. turned off the power to my body again. He probably felt he had to. Maintaining the illusion that I was human was probably in his orders, too. So to make it look like I had died, he turned the power off. Whatever the case, it was an accident. I don't think Clover ever intended to actually kill me. She only took the injection gun to try and threaten me.
How can you be so sure?
When I collapsed, she looked terrified. She checked for my pulse and listened to see if I was breathing. She also shook my body and called out to me several times. If she'd meant to kill me, Why do all that?
The human mind works in strange ways.
After a few moments, she ran off to the infirmary to get the AED.
You mean the defibrillator?
Yes,
That uses an electric shock to restart the heart, right? But she never got back.
correct.
So that was why she left?
Yes.
At 0 hours 11 minutes 40 seconds, Clover left the cabin in the crew quarters.
She ran off toward the infirmary.
Alright.
On the way, she bumped into Dio.
Uh-oh. Dio.
Yes. I guess she just saw him, really. They didn't talk. She just ran past.
And he just watched her go by?
Yes. I imagine he was curious, of course. He probably wondered what she was doing. But he chose not to go after her. He had something else to do.
To retrieve his knife. At 0 hours 12 minutes, Dio entered the room. I think, even though this is kind of a weird place to stop it, I kind of have to stop it. So I'm going to stop it here. I don't know how much is left in this, but I'll pick it up next time. So I'll see you guys then. Now, this has been Renegade 68. Just don't have any outro phrases of which to speak. And I'll see you then. Bye.